When there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them, if they need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet's Pop Culture Justice. I am Andy Signore. So excited to be with you here on a Tuesday. Thank you. It's Kim keeping me honest on which days it is. I don't know. I'm still working out and my head's mush. But I'm so happy because it's Kim's here. Hi, Kim. But look who else is joining us. Kim, Mr. Christopher Melcher, attorney at law. How you doing, Christopher?
Great. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, this story that neither of us really want to report, but yet we keep getting pulled back in to keep everybody honest. All right, so here's the new breaking news. We got lots to talk about today, but I want to get back into this. This story broke this afternoon. It's not really a story. That's what's so crazy is anybody who's really following this, it's really strange how this 2016 plane incident keeps coming back out into the media over and over. It almost feels like someone's trying to smear Brad Pitt is the vibe I get from all this. But I want to break it down with Mr. Christopher Melcher, who's been following this case pretty closely and get his thoughts. We're also going to talk about the Try Guys drama again. I want to get some of your thoughts. Kanye did what? Loretta Lynn passed today, as well as a lot of other news that we'll get to. So thank you guys for joining us here. I started on time for once. Yes, I'm trying to make it happen more often. I was late for Christopher because I told him 3:30, but then I said, no, it's going to be 4. And then I made it at 4. I'm proud of myself. Little wins as I try to get better. All right, but Christopher, let's get into this. So because we've reported on this before, it seems like it's been sort of war between these two. And am I right in sensing that this is a non-story? I mean, haven't we heard this 100 times? Why is this back out again, this plane incident that Angelina Jolie can't get past? What are your thoughts when you see this story getting in the New York Times?
Yeah, this is clearly Angelina pushing these 2016 allegations constantly in the media for no purpose, apparently, other than to harm Brad Pitt. So this allegation was just made again by Angelina Jolie, not in the divorce case, but in a civil suit that involves her sale of her 1/2 interest in this Miraval French winery and chateau. So the couple, when they were together, they had purchased this beautiful property in France that had a winery on it. They created this Miraval brand, and it was a passion project. And they each owned half of it. And when they went through the divorce, they didn't agree on what should happen with that. Brad made an offer to purchase her half, he says at full market value, and Angelina rejected it. And Brad was then preparing to go to court to saying, okay, well, let's have the court decide what happens to this business, and hopefully he could buy out her half. And she went ahead and sold it without his knowledge or consent to this Russian oligarch gentleman who owns an interest in Stoli, the vodka company. And so that is a highly suspicious transaction, because even if Angelina had the legal right to sell her half, which she claims she does, what buyer would purchase 1/2 interest in a business without, consent of the other owner and knowing for sure that those two folks could work together? No one in their right mind would purchase a 1/2 interest in a business knowing that the other party doesn't consent. There's no working relationship there. What they're buying is a lawsuit with Brad Pitt.
Right.
And so any legitimate buyer would say, well, I'm not going to pay Angelina full value for this business, knowing that I'm going to immediately be in litigation with Brad Pitt for years. So Angelina, I'm going to pay you less. So that's the way normal business would work. And if that's what happened here, why would she receive significantly less for her interest than take the full value from Brad? Or maybe she has some special deal with the buyer that we don't know about, but it's very strange. And so there's litigation. Brad saying, look, you just sold half of our business to somebody that I don't know, and now they're at loggerheads, and there's litigation around it. Angelina Jolie just showed up now with her so-called countersuit against Brad. And sure, she has a right to do that. She has a right to say that she could sell this, and she's well within her legal rights. She can claim all that. But then if you read the complaint, she says, oh, by the way, here's the reason why Brad and I broke up. Let me go on for pages about what happened in this plane in 2016. Legally, it's irrelevant. There's no logical connection. between what happened in the plane in 2016 and her more recent decision to sell half of this business.
Well, and you were pointing out even before, like, because this is the article, it sort of leaked to the New York Times, but it clearly had to have leaked. We were talking beforehand because, can you explain a little bit how you deduced that?
Sure. At the very top of that document, it has a stamp on it from the Los Angeles Superior Court. It's electronically filed at 8 a.m. this morning, October 4th. That document does not appear, and I could share my screen if you wanted, but it does not show on the LA Superior Court attorney portal. So I'm a practicing lawyer in LA. I have access to the court system records. And I'm on the portal right now, and it says that does not show up. And it takes, and we've seen this with our other cases, Britney and stuff like that. Document would show up in the media, but we don't see it in the court system for the next day because they have to index it on the court system website. So this is not publicly available on the court site. It's not even available to practicing attorneys like myself. So how else would they get it? It'd have to be from one of the attorneys, and certainly Brad's side wouldn't have any reason to leak this because it's embarrassing. It's harmful to him because it goes on about this 2016 thing. So my suspicion is that Angelina leaked it. And again, there's her story about, if you keep scrolling down, it'll talk about the reason why they broke up. It's like, who cares why they broke up? It's like her whole story is, hey, I own half of this winery and I had a right to sell it, so I sold it.
It really does. It's like a chapter in a book. Why Jolie separated from Pitt. I don't get it. On that day, Jolie and Pitt and it was the September 15th. That's how she's bringing it up. We're flying from LA, and she goes into this very specific, was physically and emotionally abusive to Jolie and their children, who were between the ages of 8 and 15. After the flight, for her family's well-being, Jolie decided to file for divorce. It literally was this one incident. It's one incident that I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. Christopher wasn't there. We don't know what happened on this plane. But my God, even if something happened on this plane in this one incident, at a certain point, for the sake of the kids, wouldn't you just end this for them? What's so frustrating to me is, the kids still see him. It's not like, the experts came in and deduced that nothing really happened. There was some verbal yelling, maybe. Unclear the specifics. She's saying some pretty bad stuff about, grabbing by the throat and shaking people, etc. It doesn't sound very good. However, didn't the FAA have to sort of look into and actually check all this since kids were involved and this was in airspace?
There are three investigations essentially that happen. Child Protective Services, and we don't know because that's confidential who made the report, but somebody called CPS. So Child Protective Services did an investigation and they took no action. The FBI had jurisdiction because it was on a plane, even though it was on a tarmac, it's on a plane. FBI investigated, took no action. She also went to the family court where their divorce and child custody proceedings were held. That court took no action. And as a matter of fact, warned her after several years saying, look, Angelina, it seems like you're interfering with Brad's rights as a parent to see the kids. And if you don't stop this behavior, you might lose custody yourself. And once the judge, Oderkirk, made that statement, then she asked that he be disqualified, and she was successful in having him disqualified for some unrelated reasons. So 2016, 3 different people or agencies, whatever you want to call them, looked into it. Nothing came of it. And here's the kicker. If this guy's so violent, why don't we hear other people coming forward, other relationships, or Angelina saying, oh yeah, he did it again? Nobody, not a single person has come forward and said, this guy's done anything. So like you say, we weren't there, we weren't happen. We don't know what happened in 2016, but it's time to let it go and move forward. And rehashing the allegations, even if they're true, do nothing but to harm Brad and, more importantly, harm their kids by constantly putting this information out there in the media that their father is some violent person.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird because it's like, and again, I didn't really have any opinion on this case until she keeps leaking it to the press, almost as if to just sort of destroy him. It really feels like she is out to destroy him. And I'm sorry, I find it hard to believe that this incident that she's detailing, and we can go through to more detail without Christopher here, as he has a heart out, and I want to make sure we get his legal opinions on things. But some of the accusations in this report, it's like shocking to read, because it's like, really? Exactly like you said. Why wouldn't there be other examples of this throughout their own relationship or in other relationships? This weird one-off moment where he just became a lunatic and shaking and just trying to hit his own kids. That just feels like that doesn't happen once. It's all very strange. People checked it out. I don't understand. There may have been some, yelling or pushing, and that's not okay. But at a certain point, they did, he's still able to see his children. He's not like in jail. He wasn't charged with anything. And at a certain point, like they're divorced, they got a co-parent. And this does not seem like a way to co-parent, Christopher. I know you deal with a lot of, celebrity divorces, but this one's ugly. I mean, the costs alone that they're spending on these lawyers and PR firms to put all this out there. How is this helping the children? How is this protecting the children?
It's not. And here's the other thing. When you have, two parents who are very hardworking, like both of them are, who's really taking care of these kids? And so when she's arguing, like, because Brad wants equal time, he's saying, like, I'm equal parent, I want equal time with these kids, and she's resisting that, and she wants superior time. Well, how much time could she really be spending? I mean, she has a lot of humanitarian efforts. She was in Kiev or something like that, right? She went to Ukraine. Did she bring the kids? Of course not. So she's making movies. She's working really hard. She's got to be using childcare, and obviously he is too. So is this like, I want my nanny? No, it's got to be my nanny taking care of the kids.
Ugh,
at some level, that's
so
what's
ugly.
happening, and it's like I say, I can be critical of both sides for that one. So it's like, hey, both of them just need to let it go and move forward. But it's like he can't because his passion project, this winery, this brand, and it's a very good rosé, by the way. He can't deal with it. He's got to have a partner. And I've seen people in the comments like, well, she could sell this. It's her right. Sure. Okay. She owns half of it. But it's just like if you're getting a divorce and your spouse sells half the house and then just saying, well, hey, he should just get over it and move forward. It's like, how are you going to move forward? Somebody now literally owns half your house that's a complete stranger to you.
Well, not even that. It's like it's a competing alcohol business that he didn't sign up with. Like that's the other thing that just shows the vendetta, the vengeance that she's doing to go to a guy who owns Stoli. Like that doesn't mean they're aligned at all. It means that he could try to shut it down. It's who knows. There's a lot of reasons that makes that not a good sale. It's not in helping the business. It's her just cashing out and screwing him is how it looks to me. It really just feels like all these moves, all these PR moves that she's out there trying to put against him, which is what I'm assuming is happening here. I do think that's what's happening. It really is all out to just destroy him, to ruin his career, to ruin his day. And it just feels like there's got to be more to it than just this plain incident. I don't believe for a second there's not more to this story between them, or a history, or some other allegations, or infidelities, or from your experience, do you really believe this is just about the plain incident?
No, I mean, it's like I say, it's very odd because, and again, I wasn't there, and I can just assume that everything she says is true that happened on the plane, but it's like, okay, that was 6 years ago. So why constantly drudging it up? Unless there was some recent incident, then you would cite back and say, hey, Your Honor, this is part of a continuing course of conduct. Fine, but there's nothing to connect it to. And the other thing is she's sued the FBI to saying like she wants all the FBI records to show like, why didn't you guys submit it for prosecution? Why did the prosecutor reject it if it was submitted? So she's made this Freedom of Information Act request. It was done anonymously, and I'm really disappointed in the federal court that allowed her to proceed under a pseudonym. This is a public document, a public court case that she's filed under, Jane Doe, under a Freedom of Information Act. So the only reason why she can get that is any member of the public can make a Freedom of Information Act request. And so she's a member of the public seeking public information in a public court. And then this judge says, oh, sure, fine. Yeah, you can go be Jane Doe. And then all
It's
that
ridiculous.
gets publicized. like, oh, somebody's trying to find out that the FBI everyone loved Brad Pitt so much that they're willing to compromise their integrity at CPS, FBI, and Family Court because they love Brad Pitt. Well, I mean, Angelina Jolie is just as popular.
Right. It doesn't make any sense. So how this is just never going to end? Is that what you suspect here? I mean, is there any way for Brad to end this?
No, I mean, the way out of the custody case was the kids were all going to age out. I mean, one already did. And so that's the way that the custody case, unfortunately, probably ends, is that the kids turn 18 and family court loses jurisdiction. But now she's saddled him with the lawsuit with the purchaser of her half, which will go on for years.
It's just so sad for the kids. I mean, look, I wasn't there. The kids may remember or be able to say things, but to just constantly paint that day as the defining moment of their father and then to constantly battle this in the press, it's just so ugly to me. It's just, that's not helpful. I was not the best in my relationship, and I'm so grateful that my ex-wife was wise enough to not make it a fight for the sake of our child, right? And that's really what's the most important part in all of this. And some might say, well, she's trying to protect him. I don't know. I don't. That's not what I see here. This seems like an angry person who's upset about the relationship ending, or something's going on, or there was some other betrayal. There's something else behind this story. I don't believe it was just one lone incident on a plane. And I've never seen Brad Pitt say anything negative against Angelina in any of these stories, even as much as he gets attacked, which is another thing. It's not like he's out there talking smack. It's always weird little ancillary PR moments to try to make him look like it. And I just think that tactic's sketchy. It's just, again, this was 8 years ago. At some point, we gotta let the guy be a dad. The marriage didn't work. It's over. If there's an incident that's unsafe, right, then she can pursue those charges then. At a certain point, she must move on. Any final thoughts for you on this? Because I know you got to go. You got an interview.
No, that's it. Like I say, it's unfortunate. Most folks have found a way to move beyond a marriage that's failed, and within a year or two, and for them to be still fighting 6 years, that is really a toxic environment for both of them, and more importantly, their kids to be in. So I'm hoping that they can work this out, but there is no that does not appear to be a pathway to resolution right now. It's just going to have to go to court.
Well, there you go. Another show is in the books. It was so much fun. We talked about the Try Guys. Kim and I got a little heated. I got a little emotional. It was unbelievable. If you want to watch all of that and so much more, Will Smith's back. Kanye did what? And a Vegas update with Marcella's on the phone. We love you, Marcella. We had some calls and other more fun stuff happened. You're not going to miss the show. If you want to see the full show, you can always go back and catch the full 3 hours by hitting that join button. Become a member, pick a tier. You'll support our coverage, and you'll become part of this community. If you really want to become part of the community, make sure you go to our link tree. It's always pinned. It's on all my profiles. There, all the links to how to support are there, and you can join our Telegram group. Join the Vegas group. We'll be there soon. So much going on. So excited to meet you guys, and so thankful for It's Kim. Go support her over on YouTube. You can support her link tree as well. Right now, we're going to go support Lewis. He's live, so let's send you guys over there. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Adios. Bye.
Bye.